Did you know that last year, student loan debt totaled $1.7 trillion dollars and nearly 43 million American borrowers owed federal loan money to the government? I really think it begs the question of like, is a degree worth it in 2025? I think to start, it makes sense to talk about like how historically I think the value of degrees has significantly declined. Back in like the 80s and 90s, it was kind of like a golden ticket to get yourself a better job and a better future. But that has definitely changed. There's like a major influx of people going to colleges and getting degrees, and truthfully, degrees just aren't worth what they used to be anymore. I think the internet plays a crucial role in that, but I also think with how advanced AI has become and as quickly as it's come, it's easier to make money now than ever. And like, it really poses the question of like, is it worth going into debt? So if you are a person who is really interested in STEM, like a STEM degree, science, mathematics, engineering, stuff like that, like you obviously need to go to college. There's no like workaround. You need that piece of paper to get a job. If you're sure that's the life you want to go with, then yes, you need to go to college. And honestly, a benefit I've had with my degree, I got a business degree, and my business degree has made it easier, luckily, to like get other jobs. Employers use like credentials like a degree to gatekeep, and to like see if someone's like worthy of a job. And I do think that my business degree did get me more job opportunities, which has allowed me some freedom in my life. Business degrees are great in general because you can do like finance, accounting, marketing, like a bunch of different things at like a lower level. You have a basic understanding of those things, and it makes it easier to change your career. That's definitely a benefit. You do get that piece of paper, and that piece of paper does help you get more jobs, as crappy as that is. But I do think that's also changing. Big pro of going to college is networking opportunities. You get to meet some really smart, cool people. You get to work with some really cool professors that know a lot of stuff, and that really is valuable. Another big pro of going to college is that it is a structured learning environment, and specifically for me, the loans and the money did motivate me. I knew that if I didn't do the work, I would be wasting my money, and so that was something that was motivating for me. Whereas if I didn't have that, I'm not sure I would have taken it as seriously. And another big pro, honestly, of college is just like life experience. You get your independence, you get to figure out who you really are. I think a lot of social growth happens in college, and there is potential higher earnings depending on the field you're going into, again, like STEM. And I do think that overall, like college is fun, unless you have a STEM degree, sorry, engineers and stuff. But like college is fun. You do get to go out and like meet a lot of people, go to parties and like figure out who you are. And I really love that aspect of it. It was one of my favorite things. But I do think that you can do that without college as well. And on that note, let's talk about some of the cons of college. By far, one of the biggest cons of college is debt and paying off your loans. I have an example of a friend that I met in college who their whole life, they knew that they wanted to be a dentist. That was all they wanted to do. They worked really hard for like 11 years, top of their class, went to the best schools, I believe in Nebraska. And once they became a dentist, they actually hated it. They like hated their job, but it was a problem because they were in so much student loan debt that they couldn't afford to not be a dentist. So they were trapped. So I think it's really important to make sure that you know for sure what you want to do. And to be honest, like most 18 to like 20-year-olds don't really know what they want to do. I would honestly highly recommend not even going to college until 20 or 21. If I could go back and do that, I think that would have been massively beneficial. Another big con of going to college is that there's no guarantee. Like it really depends on the type of degree you get. And even then, if you get a good degree, like for example, social work. If you get a degree in social work, it's a great degree, it's a great cause, but and you do need that degree to do social work. But at the same time, you're not like going to be getting paid that well unless you get a master's degree. And even then, people in trades and whatnot are making more money than that. And obviously those people are doing it for the cause. They're not necessarily doing it for like the money, and God bless them. But having a degree overall is just not a guarantee of wealth or anything. Another con to college right now is that there are a ton of alternative growing paths. And I think one of the best ones, for example, is YouTube. So when I went to school, I got a bachelor's of science in marketing. So it was mostly like Excel, doing a lot of that stuff. I didn't get like a bachelor of arts, but I learned how to do video editing and stuff like that on YouTube, on the side, and I loved it. And all of those skills are what like landed me my job at Viral Hog, and I was able to run with that and grow that into what it is today. And it's even easier now, I would think, in 2025 because of AI, like how fast AI has changed. There's just so many different alternative paths that it's like you don't really need to go to college to be successful. In fact, you can make a lot of money without going to college just by learning a skill. I think a really good one is coding. Like it's a really good example. There's a lot of people that go to school to be computer scientists, and rightfully so, because it's a really hard major to like learn and do. It's a hard thing to do. But there are people that didn't do that, and they just chose to learn one coding language, and they got incredibly good at it. They basically became one of the best people in their field with just experience. And that has provided a lot of job security for them because like they are undeniably good at what they do. And if you are undeniably good at a skill that is in demand, you are going to be able to make money. So if you're like on the fence about it, but there's a skill you really want to look into, all you really have to do is practice it. And the more you practice it and the better you get at it, there's a lot of potential to make money. And another con of going to college is the opportunity cost. The 4 years you spend going to college means you are going to be spending a lot more time. Like you could be spending that time getting actual experience and learning skills. I was very disappointed when I graduated with my bachelor's degree, dude. And I remember Utah State, they were like, you should not accept a job under 65,000. You're an idiot if you do. And every job I applied to that was like that much needed 4 years of experience, and they didn't even look at me. So it's like, I was very disappointed when I got out and found out that, oh, I got like a $15 an hour job. And even though I had gone to college and learned all of that and put myself through all that hard work, like I still needed the experience anyways. So I think what it really comes down to is whether or not you need that piece of paper to land the job that you need, or whether or not it's something you can learn through skill. So to summarize some of like pros and cons and like my opinion on this, like who are people that should go to college? One of the biggest indicators, whether or not the path that you want for your life requires it. Again, if you're going into STEM, stuff like that, definitely need to. If you are the type of person who's kind of shy and doesn't like network well and you need like structure, it can be very beneficial for people like that. And that could be a good reason to go. And I would argue that especially if you get like a scholarship or like a full ride, it would almost be kind of a waste to not do that. Depending on what you want to do though, like you can make just as much money in the trades and not waste 4 years of your life on a degree that you're not really going to use. And I think people that shouldn't go to college are people who are naturally entrepreneurial or people who enjoy trades. And speaking from like my personal experience, my brothers have been in the trades. There is a trade-off with going the trade route, and the trade-off is normally early on you do sacrifice your body. You do wear your muscles out, your body wears out, you're really tired, you're waking up early. There are trade-offs to doing trades versus school, but normally after a few years and once you get good at your craft, you have the ability to manage people, drive trucks, and it becomes a little bit less labor intensive on your body. If I could go back and do it all over again, I think I would probably be an electrician, to be honest. Like electricians make bank, they're smart, you can do a lot with it. There's a lot of real world practical knowledge that goes with it. And so if you're like the type of person that doesn't want to like sit and read books and study all the time, you enjoy working with your hands more, I would highly recommend looking into a trade. Another reason people shouldn't go to college is if you can't justify the ROI, especially if you're going to like a big state school or something and you're dropping like 30 grand a semester and you're going to get a job that pays 40K a year. It's like, what's the point of that? It's really not, like, all you're going to do is put yourself in debt for like no reason. Like at the very least, go to a community college or something like that, but don't waste your time paying a stupid amount of money. And the last type of person that I think that shouldn't go to college are people who are self-driven and thrive in unstructured environments. Another thing that I found beneficial is that like after college, I did work at a lot of startups, and I really like the startup environment because whatever you're willing to learn just adds value to you, and the experience you have, especially with a company that's young, is very, very valuable. And I think it's more of an entrepreneurial mindset, but you don't even need a degree to do that. Like if you just have a skill that company needs, you can get a job. It is going to be harder without the piece of paper, but if the skills that you have, if you can show that your work is better than other people's because of that experience, that will get you a job. Experience is just as important as a piece of paper, even though some employers don't see it that way. But I do think we have been seeing a shift of employers not requiring degrees. And really the opportunity cost is the money that you'd be paying in debt in the long run by just not doing that. And so I'm going to kind of wrap this video up with me talking about my experience. Like I went to 2 colleges, 2 state schools, University of Wyoming, then Utah State. I transferred because 2 of my grandmothers got cancer and I wanted to be closer to home. Utah State was beautiful. Logan Canyon's was voted like one of the most beautiful canyons in the country, like next to a campus. I went to the Huntsman School of Business, an incredible business school inside and out, except for raising differential tuition. I see you, Utah State. That was awful. But I don't think I would take back my experiences per se, but I think that you should have a pretty good idea of what you would like to do. And I would highly recommend, especially if you have ADHD or something like that, to maybe not go to college till you're 20, 21. But even then, like that's not a guarantee. So it just really comes down to like what you want to do and what you're willing to learn. And I think that those skills are just as valuable as that piece of paper. So like in closing, I think that college isn't necessarily a good or bad thing. It really just depends on your personal goals and your personality. But yeah, I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and whether or not you think college is worth it in 2025. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.